Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope you are all having an amazing week so far. We are so excited to present today's webinar on mastering the omnichannel experience. We have a few folks from Front, from Aircall, as well as some customers as well, and we cannot wait to get started. But I know that there are a number of people who are still logging in right now. So while we wait for those people to get connected here in just the next minute or so, if you can all navigate to the chat section, and if you could type maybe where you're sheltering in place, where you're working from, where you're located. For me, I am based in Paris. I've been here just about a month with our company. So super excited to be here to connect with all of you, but would love to learn a little bit more about you and the teams that we're working with. And we'll give everyone here just a minute before we get started. Well, that's great. Denmark, Netherlands, the UK, wonderful. I see some gloomy Newcastle. It's that time of the year, isn't it, to get some of the gray overcast. And we'll go ahead and some more folks will log in, but we'll go ahead and get started. So a little bit about what we will be covering today. First, we would like to introduce who are our speakers, who you'll be hearing from, talk about this omni-channel experience. We'll give a high-level introduction to what it means to work and live inside this omni-channel business environment that all of our companies are having to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Next, we'll dive into the power of voice and how that is one of the many channels we have to focus on, we have to work with. Then we'll talk about seamless email management to improve that customer experience. And lastly, you won't just have to take it from us, the experts at Front or Aircall. You'll actually be hearing from a customer themselves to talk about how they've mastered the omni-channel experience in their day-to-day. We'll wrap up with any questions that all of you might have, but I highly encourage all of you, as you have questions throughout this webinar, please don't hesitate to just type it in the little question section. That way we can make sure to address it at the end as well. So if it's the top of your mind, write it down so you don't forget it, and we'll circle back to those questions at the end. So to start with some more formal introductions, a little bit about the three speakers you'll hear from today, me being one of them. My name is Matthew. I live in Paris, work for Front, and I actually help direct our global programs for all of Front's customers. I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm very familiar with getting all of these teams, whether it's a team of 2 or a team of 200, making sure that they are up and running with that omni-channel experience. But I'll turn it over to Andreï and Clifton to introduce themselves. Andreï, please.
Hi guys, great to be there on this panel, and thanks Matthew for the introduction. Andreï Sochala here, Director of Sales at Aircall, and more or less there from the very beginning of the experience. So at the beginning, it wasn't only sales that I was doing, it was actually taking care of the whole life cycle of the customer. So that included customer support, customer success, and here I am today, looking forward to this panel.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name's Clifton Vaughan. I'm director at Natural Baby Shower. Our mission is to provide natural and sustainable baby products to customers and new parents. And I'm a user of Front here and Aircall, so we're here to talk about some of those integrations. So thanks for joining us.
Of course, thanks, Clifton, for the time. We appreciate it. And to give a little bit more context to all of our companies, we'll go ahead and start with Aircall. Andreï, is there anything else that you would want to tell all of our audience today?
No, well, I think what this slide says is already a lot. Aircall is the phone system for modern business. So if today you're thinking of what your customer-facing teams or prospect-facing teams are using as a phone system, and you think that this can be improved because you could actually gather more information, get more data on all of your calls, well, then we would be the phone system that would replace what you currently have and try to be as integrated as possible. That's for a few words about Aircall.
Thanks, Andrei. And for a few words about Front, we are the premier customer communication platform that is actually going to combine all of those emails, all of those applications and teammates into that single view to really power the heart of your business. So you can centralize all of those different channels that you're leveraging, whether it is Aircall and voice, whether it is that email communication that you're using. And lastly, Clifton, I'll turn it over to you to just give a high-level summary. I know you touched base on it for just a second, but would love to tell the audience about Natural Baby Shower.
Yeah, thanks. Natural Baby Shower actually started online as a retailer, kind of, I suppose, a little bit different than the bricks and mortar starting shops. But we progressed into some shop, and now we provide online baby products, and we're always looking for new brands to provide the best for parents, newborn parents. So yeah, no, we've been looking at all of our ranges for the last 2 or 3 years and really trying to capture the best products on the marketplace and provide the best service by delivering those products on time to people all around the world. So yeah, we've been growing nicely, and that's our mission from our place in Bracknell in Surrey in the UK. Thank
you, Clifton. So now, before we really dive into what it means to master this omni-channel experience, we just have a quick video for all of you, because we're probably pretty sure that all of you might relate to a little bit of this experience. So I'm just going to click play here, and we'll watch it together. Let's see if I could get it to load here. Let's try it again. A little bit of a buffer error. And let me hop out of here of the main view, and let's see if we can do it this way.
Hi, my order payment didn't go through. Can I get some help?
Let me transfer you to Zach on our customer care team. Just a moment, please.
Hello, we are not available now. Please leave your...
Like to leave a message, please wait for the beep. Press pound, press 3, then dial your name. Press 6 and dial your number. Then press star, press 69 after extension. Eyes bark like an ox, fit in a circle, press 1 twice.
Oh, gosh.
Cat!
Hi, how can I help you?
Hi, this is Hermione. I'm calling about my payment. It didn't go through. Could I get some help?
Of course. Let me just put you on another brief hold.
Hello, Hermione. How can I help you today?
Hi, my order payment didn't go through. Can I get some help?
It's your order of the Broomstick 2000. Let me just put you through to someone who can better assist you with that. 1 second. Hi, Zach. I'm transferring to you, Hermione. Just a heads up, it's pronounced like in Harry Potter. It's about her broomstick.
Ah, so I see you called in a few days ago. Your new payment has now gone through. Don't worry, all is good.
So we always like to start when talking about the omnichannel experience with the problem that businesses face. And normally when everyone is actually on camera, I can see faces. I usually ask folks to raise their hand if they've ever experienced a challenge like this. But if you can find the chat and just type a yes if you've ever experienced something like this, where you haven't provided that best customer service. I already see some people typing. That's great. We're here to really talk about what that problem is and how to solve it. So when we think about this omni-channel business environment, our customers, as we know, they are reaching out from everywhere. Whether they're picking up the phone and they're calling us, whether it is those support messages they're writing an email to any email they can find for our business, sending WhatsApp, tweeting us, any which way that they can contact us, they are doing it. And now 67% of our customers expect a reply within 5 minutes. Part of this is because, as we know traditionally, that instant gratification is becoming more and more popular. As you have website chat, as you have SMS or any type of text messaging, that has changed the name of the game for all of those other channels where traditionally an email, you might get a response in 1 day, but now customers, regardless of that method of communication, they are expecting your business to reply to them as quickly as possible. And the truth of the matter is that multiple people from your team might actually be replying to the same customer on different channels. So I know some of you have probably also experienced a customer who is calling you and they also send an email and a text, and you have 3 different teammates now spending their time trying to respond back to that customer. Hopefully they all respond the same way. But what can often happen is that they're sending mixed signals to that customer, different types of messaging, and that makes it even more confusing for that customer experience. And so now I would love to just dive into this topic a little bit more. And Andreï, if we were sitting up on three chairs at the front of the room, I would normally have you give you the mic, have you come up, but would love to call you up on stage and dive into this topic a little bit. Because as the head of sales for Aircall, I'm so curious how much of your sales process, of that customer experience, as we think about omni-channel, I would be curious to learn a little bit more about your process and how much of it is handled via voice versus some of these other channels that businesses might be using.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. And I think, well, it's interesting for the very beginning to think about that the customer experience actually starts before the persona has actually bought the product. The customer experience starts when you're a prospect. And that's sometimes something that people forget a little, that for sake of purpose, we just say customer experience, but it could just as well be prospect and customer experience. The reality is that interactions with your prospects and customers are just as important at the beginning, and then when they are customers. So at Aircall, we've put emphasis on the 2 of them, on the prospect side and on the customer side. And if there's one example I always like talking about, is one process that we impose to our sales team, which is every time you have a lead signing up on a free trial on Aircall, you have to call them within the first 3 minutes. That's just a rule. They're signing up for a free trial. They're going to start using this system. We are offering them the right of using a free trial, but you have to call them down just to introduce yourself and get the conversation started. But the reality is that sometimes they're busy. They're busy because either they're actually trialing Aircall or they've actually already moved to another task. And what better prospect experience can you offer at this time than when they are going to be calling back, you want to be greeting them with their first name, with their last name, with the exact name of the company that you had already checked a few minutes or sometimes a few hours earlier in this same day. So that's what we're expecting from them first and foremost. On the customer support side, we're now asking much more proactivity from our customer support team, which means if you receive a customer support ticket sent via any channel which might be written and it is not clear enough, you call first to just clarify this, and therefore you're going to be sure that you're going to be answering spot on.
Yeah, I think that makes complete sense. And particularly, one of the things that has gotten me thinking is, especially in 2020, just picking up the phone and speaking to someone versus any type of more informal messaging is so important, especially as all of us, many of us here probably in the audience, are working remote, working from home. So you don't have those face-to-face interactions as much as you did in your daily life. So just talking to somebody on the phone can fulfill something a little bit more. And I cannot agree with you more when you say, that experience starts from the very beginning. Oftentimes buyers will purchase from those companies that they feel like they have that better connection with. And really that's the reason that is driving that business.
100% with you on this one. For me, voice has this advantage of speeding things up. Voice has this advantage of making things move forward with clear information, making sure that we're all on the same page. So voice has this kind of disadvantage to it, which is it's kind of stressing. It can be kind of a stressing moment because it's happening on live, but it is the only way to really make things move forward fast.
Yeah, and I don't just want to focus on voice, because I would be curious, I know Aircall is a voice product, but I would be curious how all of your customer-facing teams are actually managing the challenges that come with that omni-channel factor, right? We know that you can't just reach out to your customers via voice, and when we think about Aircall, the fact that customers are reaching out via email, calling, any of those SMS that they might be sending, how are your teams dealing with all of that?
Yeah, the reality, you said it right, Matthew. You would want sometimes to only speak to your customers or your prospects, because that's maybe the way you prefer it. But the reality is that you can never know what your prospect or your customer prefers. And we've really digged into this so much with our customers, looking at sometimes you would want your customer to actually go on your website, see the phone number and call you there, or see the chatbot and start chatting here or sending an email to your email, but you just can't control what the customer or the prospect is going to choose. So in some way, I'm a big believer in you have to adapt to the different personalities behind a customer, behind a prospect. There's a person, and you can't person's preferences. You can't control them, and so on our end, we've really pushed to be available on as many channels as possible. You want to reach out on chat, via SMS, via call, via email, via whatever channel you want to reach out on, social media even. We want to be available for you. We want to be available. So then it's all about how to actually make all of this work so that when you are answering through those different channels, it's not becoming a big mess. And that was the big challenge for us. And if I were to give one clue here to the answer, and something that we've used a lot, is only picking softwares that integrate with the other softwares superbly. Basically, that's just that's our number one requirement. That's our number one thing that we look at every time we add another software or we replace a software that we were using for one of our communication channel. Does it integrate with the others, therefore creating a real omnichannel experience for the agent?
Yeah, I think that we have the same philosophy at Front. Is basically, in order to provide the best customer experience, is letting the customer choose the way that they want that experience to happen, whether it is via text, via chat, just via email. It's so funny. I used to work with one client that preferred mail. So that was something that we tried to push them a little bit more to email communication for some rapid response, but really making sure that they have that best experience possible, and then using the technologies we have available to make sure that we're able to leverage those to deliver on that. And
yeah, fully aligned here. Yeah.
I would be curious when we think about, we have these customers reaching out via SMS, we're going to let them choose exactly what they want to use, that channel, that method of communication, that omni-channel experience. But how does your team ensure that all of that information that is captured lives in one single place and is accessible at all times? So you can kind of see from that video, right? We need to know that Hermione has this broomstick. When we transfer that information, we need to understand that that next person also needs all of that information at their fingertips. So how does Aircall ensure this?
Yeah. I mean, you said it. We just basically, there's a rule here at Aircall. You can't accept to have the customer or prospect repeat information that he has already shared. It's as simple as this. And as long as you have this rule, then you look at your tech stack and your softwares and you make it happen. So basically, it's true. You want, I mean, I've mentioned just before, you want integrated softwares. You want softwares that when you are actually filling in or answering to any request, this information will flow and will be visible to the other prospect when he's going to be taking this call. So here we had the example of Hermione reaching out about her broomstick. And of course, like any person, she pressed 1, and sometimes it was actually to press 2 to go to the customer support team. So she talked to a sales rep maybe. The sales rep did take some information, and she's forwarding this call. This information that is taken should be forwarded immediately to the customer support rep. When the call comes in, you would expect the whole page of Hermione to be accessible right in front of her and being able to actually know that maybe there is currently a broomstick order and that this has already been said to the sales rep just before. So that's all about making it work with integrated softwares.
Yeah, and I know that we've actually prepared a few slides that I would love for you to share with our audience today. Not only the softwares that we integrate with, how we think about collecting all this information, but also some of those capabilities of Aircall that allow your teams to actually really master this experience from an omnichannel perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if you can go to the next slide, one thing I wanted to show here, first, maybe, of course, a little bit of a brief introduction, but here a lot of things have been said. And I've already, I think, shared my opinion on the power of voice, which is this channel among all the other channels, which just gets so much empathy into connecting with your customers, and so much more information that you can gather, relevant information, and then actually take fast action on it. So that was for the power of voice. That's something which, of course, we believe a lot in at Aircall. But let's dig into a few slides that I wanted to walk you through on, in case you're familiar with Front or just with Aircall. We first wanted to touch base on this native integration. The reality is that at the end, it is your team who is handling all of those requests, whether it be your customer support rep or your sales rep. They are the one using this main core software, which I would recommend here to be Front if you are using it to handle all of your customer requests or prospect requests. But then you want all your other channels, like the phone, to be embedded in this software, because this is the one that you are using. And today, this is what we're able to offer with Front. We're able to embed the Aircall phone inside your Front page, so that when you're a customer support agent or when you're a sales rep, you're working from one single page. Everything which is happening, all the information which is coming, is never moving away from this page. Is that clear on your end, Matthew?
I think we've lost Matthew.
Matthew, are you still here?
I think we might have lost
Yeah,
Matthew. Here he comes. Yay, well done, Matthew.
Sorry about that, everyone.
No worries. So yeah, Matthew, I was just finishing to present here what the native integration between Aircall and Front can offer in terms of having the support agent or the sales rep work from one single interface, and therefore simplifying their life and making their whole day actually way nicer to spend.
Yeah, and I would be then curious when we talk about whether it's support agent or our sales rep, how you actually ensure that when somebody picks up the phone or they actually call the wrong number, how you're transitioning or transferring that information from one team to the next.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw it on the video, and this is a feature that, of course, I think when you're talking about the voice experience, actually is mandatory, what we call the warm transfer. This ability to first speak to the person in your team that you're going to transfer the call to, so that live you're transferring this information. You're stressing what is important for the customer who is currently on a brief hold before handing over the transfer. Therefore, there is no repetition. Therefore, the customer feels like he is being handled by a whole team and not by simple individuals separated but working from the same company.
Yeah, one of the things that like as probably a manager, that is extremely important. And for many of our folks who are listening today, who are managing or directing teams, their whole company, is that once somebody masters the omnichannel experience, that's really great, right? They can have that rep go off and run with it. They know how to transfer, they know how to share that information, but that's not always the case, particularly as you're hiring more and more folks. So how do you train some of these new people to deal with learning how to collect this information, to transfer it, so on and so forth?
Yeah, that's spot on. You're completely right. The reality of a customer support team or of a sales team is that there will always be a bit of turnover. You'll always have to recruit and have unexperienced people on your product, on your specificities coming in your team. And so at Aircall, we're strong believers of, hey, the best is by learning by doing, but sometimes learning by doing, you might actually still need help on the spot live. And so the call whispering feature is actually a good opportunity to have your manager listen into your call and when needed, if needed, jump in and actually help you troubleshoot the query or give the answer, so that the prospect at the end, you don't lose it. And you, as you might be actually learning by doing with your new reps, you're actually still not good. You still actually don't want to lose this prospect or offer a bad experience to your customer.
Yeah, completely agree. And would love to kind of touch base, share a few best practices that we leverage at Front when we think about this omnichannel experience. So really, as we think about building that best-in-class customer communication platform, we really want to make sure we have that experience at scale. So I know we touched a little bit on this, letting customers reach out to us whichever way that they want to, and still delivering that best-in-class experience for them. So one of the ways that we do that is ensure that all of that written communication is in one place. So whether you have 2 channels, 4 channels, 50 different emails, all of that can be centralized. Instead of having to switch back and forth, have all these distribution lists, you know exactly where all of that information is. We also, what I love to call our customer timeline view, is basically see that entire timeline of when that customer is reaching out. Did they send us a text 2 minutes ago and now they're calling us right now? Did they email us 2 days ago that we haven't responded to and now they send us another follow-up email? So basically seeing that entire timeline of that customer communication is extremely important. And the last thing that I'll touch base on is just making sure that we actually collect information across all of our different channels and analyze that so that we can meet and achieve our KPIs. Oftentimes, many of the solutions that exist today, they're not actually tracking these omni-channel analytics, right? They have one very specific channel that they look at, as opposed to, you know what, I need to pull a report that is going to combine SMS and email and voice all into one. And now I want the audience here to not just take Andrei's word for it, not just take my word for it, but would love to invite Clifton up to the stage now and ask him a few questions, learn a little bit more about how they're mastering the omni-channel experience. And so Clifton, I would love to understand a little bit more about Natural Baby Shower, how you are thinking about the omni-channel experience for your customers, which teams are using it, and how you deliver that customer service and that experience to your customers.
Thanks for that, Matthew. Yeah. So at Natural Baby Shower, we've always tried to support omni-channel retailing. So to make this journey for the customers as seamless as possible, that might come down from just what we offer on the website is the same in store, or any kind of feeling of customer service. So the same email that comes from a store looks very similar to the one they'll get from the website. So just trying to really tie in those omni-channel experience and make it seamless. And we do that by operating with Front, and have done for the last 3 or 4 years now. That experience has been come through written communication or inbound communication, coming from our email communication, our online live chat, our web forms, our Facebook and Instagram channels, all that information flowing into our separate inboxes within Front. So we'll separate them out for a support inbox. We'll have an actual support chat, so it's live and quick to get to. And we work with our teams in a proactive and reactive way within customer service. So that way we can filter the inbox to see which is immediate, which can be dealt with a little bit later, or what's ongoing and needs more proactive care. Then we recently integrated the phone system, so we can now get all of our communication into those same platform and deal with it as like a written communication. So we're having that personal experience with the customer or supplier. I want to stress here as well, it's not just all about the customer. There is the other side of the business that we need to maintain and make sure that works and functions as efficiently as possible. So dealing with suppliers. So again, our purchasing team, our accounts team, they're all seamlessly working within Front. And calling suppliers, getting information. I mean, that's the engine that makes the company work. I mean, so that information coming in is crucial.
And Clifton, it's so funny you say that, because one of the things that we always talk about in Front is that customers can also be internal sometimes, right? It's those partners that you have to work with. You know, when I think about working with our finance and our AR team, I'm effectively like a customer of theirs as they're trying to get information about contracts. So it's not just that external customer who might be buying a product or service, but oftentimes internal teams work for each other. You're completely right.
Yeah, I mean, it's turning on. You know, you want that level of flexibility or ease to talk to people and to be able to reach that information, and everybody to be empowered by getting that information as quickly as possible. And then if you're dealing with your customers in a really like happy way, and then you're not dealing internally happily, then the system's not working very well. So I think we're able to share that experience inside of Front and work proactively and reactively, as we see in the slide here, to look at first-time resolutions, try and get things sorted as quickly as possible, be proactive, managing by exceptions, looking for that time when we can automate as much as possible, but make the employee or the member of staff's kind of like job as fruitful as possible by not doing repeated tasks all the time. So I think automation takes that level away from it, and then we can be more proactive towards making the experience better for customers and for our suppliers. And I think we've helped change some of our suppliers in the way that we communicate and the way that we ask for information. So I think being on top of that kind of sources has really helped us grow. And automation, you know, is saved us so much time throughout our systems and through our tech stack. And Andreï touched on having the right, you know, software involved in your business. Those decisions are hard to make, but if you make them right, they can really save time and money and help you grow and allow you to spread. So I always look at it, and I don't think it's something you need to just settle on, say you've grown and then everything's going to grow on top. You need to reassess and see where you sit again, and then be able to grow again, because, you know, laying foundations at certain points and making changes to your tech stack, or even that, or bringing in more integration, or going up to the next plan. You know, now we're bringing in Asana a lot more now for working, and we're looking at the top level of Asana. That's a lot of money a year, but I think it's going to help us flow our information around the business a lot quicker. So I think that money's paid back quite quickly. So yeah, I use the Front.
When you think about, you mentioned growth here a little earlier. When you think about mastering this omni-channel experience, we're so used to these huge companies where you can click a button, order something, right? They're mammoths. It's delivered to you in 2 days. But I would be curious how having this omni-channel experience, mastering it for your customers, has allowed you to grow when there are all these large competitors on the market. What does that mean for a retailer like you?
I think having the tools these days, the way the software has been built and available to smaller businesses or startups, allows us to kind of play nearly on a level playing field. I mean, it's hard when it comes down to some of the way that the distribution set up, or the speed of some of the packing or shipping. But when it comes to communication and taking those orders online, you know, we've got powerful website software. We've got powerful integration with courier networks to get those labels printed and out the door quickly. So having that kind of integration has really helped us grow, and I think it's really important for customers these days to have that kind of experience. So, you know, we feel that having a direct kind of conversation with a customer or being able to understand their needs is really important in today's shopping experience. And I think sometimes it gets lost on the bigger sites and the bigger corporations. So being able to order and have the same speed of delivery, that they're all using the same delivery network. So why can't we plug into those and get the items to the customer at the same time? So we're just looking at how we can make that communication faster and make that experience better for the customer. Yeah.
Well, Clifton, thank you for sharing. And now here in just our last few minutes, would love to turn it over to the audience to hear from all of you some questions that you might have for myself, for Andreï, for Clifton, about the omnichannel experience, whether about any of our businesses that we work with, anything that is top of mind, or maybe even some challenges that you might be facing, and would just love some of our tips in helping figure out how to solve those. And so while we wait for a few people to type some questions, Andreï, I actually have a question for you. I would be curious, in this world where everything is so remote, like, what do you think is extremely important to kind of that remote piece, or everyone traveling, everyone on the go, as it relates to making sure that people are still connected so that they can deliver this amazing experience to their customers?
Yeah, I think this is the next level. I feel like over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of work already mastering the need of the computer as being the core, like the core tool, the core actually hardware, the only hardware that you're going to be using to offer a true omnichannel experience, thanks to all the softwares which will be running on it and integrating with one another. But then the next level is, how can you actually still offer this through mobile? Because the reality is that today, well, some reps sometimes now will be forced to be working from home. And when you are working from home, sometimes you do have some stuff where you have to go and have lunch and you need to go and do some grocery shopping. And how can this still be able to offer the same level of customer experience when they are actually using the phone, their smartphone? And so that's something that we've spent a lot of time thinking on, and worked a lot on the mobile applications to make sure that a customer support rep or a sales rep can continue to receive the same amount of information, the same data, than when he's receiving a call on his desktop app on his computer than when he is receiving a call on his mobile phone. Therefore, making mobility something that is no longer an issue when handling customer requests or prospects. So that has been a big change that we've seen since February, March, for those of you who have been confined somewhere, and yeah, that we've trying to just pick up and continue working on.
I have to say, I'm a very big fan of like the walking work meeting, whether it's like for a phone call or just like answering emails or customer chats, SMS. Just go take a walk 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, somewhere around for a few minutes, and stretch your legs. So I know, like, using my mobile phone for this communication and just to be on the go is extremely important.
Yeah, definitely. You just can't know when your prospect of the month, or when this customer who has already had like 2 issues with you is going to call you back to actually have this third and final call to get it solved. And you just want to be there when this is going to happen. And so if this happens while you're at the shop doing some whatever purchase you need to make, you just want to still have this possibility to take it if they're in the right condition, you have the right internet connection. And seems, Matthew, that we might have lost you. Clifton, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. I think we might have lost Matthew as well. Yeah.
Matthew might have some.
Hold on 2 seconds. Here it comes. Yep. I think.
Sorry, but I'm back. Can you all hear me okay?
Here you are. Yeah. Oh, good.
I do see a question here. A question for Andreï. In which ways Front is leveraging your internal communication with your sales team?
Yeah, so just to get this question right, in which ways Front is leveraging your internal communication with your sales team? So for us, basically every time there's a conversation happening, and this we see it a lot during a trial. So during a trial, basically, the sales rep is the owner of the prospect, but as you're trialing the system, you still have access to the support team, and you are able to actually start a conversation, and this conversation will be visible in front. So basically, when a sales rep is going to reach out and potentially offer, I don't know, like kind of like another call to discuss the next steps and maybe discuss legal, well, then you just need to be aware of any conversation that has been started with your support team. So everything which is happening on front, every message, every ticket open here needs to be related to the sales team in their CRM. So this is a connection that exists, and this is something that for us, you have to be aware of before picking up the phone and starting the call with your prospect. It's just too important, and you're going to feel dumb if you actually hear this during the call from your prospects.
Right. I see another question here as well. When do you manage communication from front versus when do you manage communication from the CRM? And I can probably take this.
Yep.
So
sure.
I recommend to never manage communication from CRM. And really when we think about that, the reason why is CRMs were not traditionally built to do a lot of that communication. So oftentimes what has happened, these big CRMs have kind of built these patchwork solutions to send emails, to have some internal chatter, but ultimately at the end of the day, employees don't like to work out of them. They're not well designed, and they're more for systems of records, so really housing all of this information, than they are for that system of work. So to actually work out of that, to do that communication, they're not traditionally designed for that. And these patchwork solutions have not been that successful. So many teams are switching day in and day out from trying to manage their work inside of a CRM to moving to more of these omni-channel technology platforms. Great question. And I know that we are just at time here, so I will just see if anyone else has any last final minute questions that we can help answer. And if not, please feel free to hop off here. You should receive a recording, I believe, just after this loads. But we thank you all for the attendance, for the interaction. I hope that you were able to learn something from this webinar. And I do see one more question for Andrei, or actually, sorry, one above. Once you get to a certain scale and using voice calls becomes too cost prohibitive, how do you effectively push to other channels?
Oh, can I grab that?
Yeah.
Can I grab that first? Oh, go, Andrei.
No, you go, Clifton.
Well, I just wanted to say, we've made one pledge here at Natural Baby. As the bigger we grow, we want to always maintain that voice call. I think it's so important for the customer to be able to get hold of somebody on a phone. I mean, you don't know how agitated they are when they're trying to write in on chat or write in on a thing. So to be able to take that, to be able to answer that front line. Now, whether you're obviously going to need to filter to a certain point, and maybe you need to use something like an IVR to kind of filter those calls. But we're always trying to maintain that we will aim to always answer the customer through voice, so that there is always somebody that they can get hold of on the end of the phone. So I think that's something that we're like. I know it's going to be harder as we get bigger, but that's something we're set to set as one of our aims.
100%, yeah. I'm aligned here, 100%. I would say voice calls become cost prohibitive when they are actually handled the wrong way, when actually each phone call requires asking for information to be repeated, when you're receiving the wrong requests on the wrong lines, or the wrong agents answering the wrong questions. Yeah. So it's all a question of getting your phone infrastructure set up the proper way, and then everything is optimized, and each call is all about adding this extra value that they couldn't get by text or email, of course, and therefore yeah, that would be my 2 cents here.
And my sense really quickly would be that once that call comes in, if you're able to tag it and you're able to analyze it in front, and you're able to like work out what that context of that conversation is, you're then able to put proactive measures in to sort of then filter down your communication later, so that you're becoming to manage by exception more and more. so that you become more efficient and effective. So then, you know, those telephone calls shouldn't just grow and grow and grow. They should become more, you know, in line with actually receiving the right information at the right time.
And I can probably share some light when, you know, thinking about a number of customers that I have worked with and the industry in its entirety. A lot of teams will actually package calls at a higher level. So what they'll start to do is, you know, they say, we truly can't have 10,000 customers, 50,000 customers that we can commit to delivering calls to. And so what they will start to do is say, you know, like what channels should be at what level. So whether that's for calls, whether it's for chat or SMS, but just helping customers understand what service delivery via what channels they can expect with their packaging and plans. And I see probably our last question here is one for Clifton. What was the main reason for you purchasing Front?
Yeah, just saw this come in. Thanks, Gary. I think the main reason was we became disjointed with our communication internally and externally. But internally, we were losing. Certain sales reps were put onto a different ticketing system to try and handle the internal customer support, and then we found that the purchasing accounts teams weren't able to get to that information, and we found ourselves very disjointed internally. We were using like Outlook, and then we were using kind of Zendesk, and we were just not really focusing. So to put ourselves into an internal structure, I bounced along Front, found that was like a inbox for Teams, then saw that everything was a communication, not just an email, and it was a wider channels. And then we were able to work kind of what I call Slack on top of messaging, or instant messaging on top of your emails or your inbound communication, allowed us to communicate internally on the platform whilst staying inside it. So it really that was the main reason. It brought the whole company together, and then we were able to bring in all the social media channels and add those channels into our inboxes.
Clifton, I might have to recruit you for some of my calls in the future.
It's just the way we found it. We got lucky finding Front, and you know, it really has shaped us, and Front's really developed. So it's developed as well as we've developed. So the tools that we've got have become more streamlined and more, and it is nice to use. The team enjoy it. So yeah, I'll take a job there as well. Thanks.
Well, thank you everyone for participating today. And if you could kind of, in the background, give a round of applause to Clifton, to Andreï for joining us, sharing some of their experience. We are always happy to answer any questions that you might have. So if you have questions, always feel free to email me. It's just matthew@frontapp.com. I can make sure to direct them to Andreï, to Clifton as well. So thank you all. And
thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.